So let me just segue into the next part by sharing this, and it also deals with what Brother Jiso shared this morning. So this came from last Monday, the morning Dharma talk. It's not morning Dharma talk. It's the Global Volunteer Assembly, and I think there was a part about Master sharing that 开示 that was really powerful. And as I was preparing this, many times it brought emotions to me. And as I was listening to Brother Jiso sharing, it also resonated with that. So Master said that I always ask myself as time passes, what have I accomplished with the passing time? Was more time spent on creating blessing for humanity, or was more time wasted? So Master was talking about on the balance, how much time was actually done, how much time was actually spent on creating more blessing. On the balance, which side would the balance tip? Even if I keep reminding myself to fully use every second, I find myself unable to catch up. As my thoughts are deep in the past, every second continue to pass by. And the last part is powerful in that it's almost poetic, in that we have to be remembering, but as we are remembering, the time or the history continues to build. The time didn't stop just because you are in the past, just because your thoughts are in the past. The time continued. And the reason why this happened was because Master was talking about 30 years ago in Pingdong. And that was, on Monday, was the 30th anniversary of Pingdong. And that brought back a lot of memories. They on the 10th, which was on the Saturday, last week, Saturday, they had this 连线, they had this video conferencing. And people came from the southern part of Taiwan to share about the 30 years in Pingdong. And obviously there were many, many elderlies. They were there in the beginning. So Master's thoughts are in the past, but more time are flying by. So Master said she found herself unable to catch up. And then it goes into what is sacrifice. And this is the very, very powerful part that is very, very much resonating with Brother Jiso's sharing, and especially about 信受体解, about truly going through this and being able to understand. And I'll explain. So Master continued in 1964. Okay, so that this would be what is it? 57 years ago, right? 57 years ago, yeah. So that was 2 years prior to the beginning, the founding of the Tzu Chi Foundation. I was in the Vasa, so that's the summer retreat. As you probably know, that the Buddhist, the monastic practitioners, they will be in the Vasa for 3 months. Okay, and the Vasa is something that it's like a retreat. You gather and you stay there in the same location due to the weather. Okay, so that was in Haihui Temple. Over there, Master said, I was planning for my life. I was looking forward to the time after the Vasa when I was going to dive into the Lotus Sutra back at Puming Temple at the little wooden cabin. Okay, so back in 1964, so this was already after Master was ordained. And so she was on this retreat. And over there, she was already looking forward to the time after the retreat that she was gonna fully go into the Lotus Sutra, the studying of the Lotus Sutra, to dive into it, to dissect it, to become a scholar, if you will, okay, to study back at Puming Temple, okay. Master said, I wanted to return to Hualien, the little wooden cabin, diving into the studying of the Lotus Sutra. Coincidentally, at Haihui Temple, Master Wei Li Fa Shi was there on the Vesa as well. So this was someone that a master that was there, and eventually, as the story goes, the development of Pingdong Tzu Chi, Master Weili was a very important part of that. So she was going back. Master was going back into the history. This was what Master was talking about. As Master was talking more about the history, more time is already flying by. So how do you weigh the differences? How do you catch up? If you have so many things in the past you need to share to bring it to the future or bring it to the present, but the time is keep on flying. How do you tip that balance? So Master talked about her experience at the Vasa. So she said, as we were chatting about each of our goals in life, so they were there on the Vasa, on the summer retreat, and they would share about each other, about what we're going to do, about how Buddhism had changes and what we're going to do for Buddhism or in the Buddhist practices, right? And about our guiding sutra, about the sutra that is going to change and that is going to be the guiding energy and direction for us, for each one of us. So Master shared that for her, the guiding sutra or the guidance was the Lotus Sutra. And she knew, Master knew, that in Japan, most Buddhist practitioners emphasize the teaching of the Lotus Sutra. So Master even talked about in Taiwan, everybody will remember Amitofo. Okay, that's what everybody hears. And then you would know that this is a Buddhist monk or Buddhist monastic practitioner, right? Even the lay would say that, right? The lay, everyone would say Amitofo, and then they would know what it's trying to say or what it meant. Not the actual meaning of it. Many people probably didn't know the actual meaning, but they knew what it was trying to represent. But in Japan, it wasn't. In Japan, it was actually singing a particular verse in the Lotus Sutra. That's how the people would know that's a Buddhist monk. That's sort of the folklore way of identifying who is who. Like you would be able to identify a particular person if they, speak a particular language or speak a particular dialect, and you go like, oh, you're from here, you're from there, right? So in particular different parts of Asia, you would identify a particular person with their roles or with their background. And in Japan, it would be Lotus Sutra. That would be the thing that identifies them as a Buddhist practitioner. So Master knew that in Japan, Lotus Sutra was very, very much emphasized. And therefore, there was a lot of studies done on the Lotus Sutra by the Japanese community. So there was a Japanese thesis, an essay, okay, a much bigger thesis explaining the Lotus Sutra. So Master had a wish that at the end of the Vasa, so she kept on talking about at the end, right? In the future, right? At the end of this 3 months, and I was going to follow the Japanese thesis and dive into the teachings of the Lotus Sutra. Okay, so she kept on thinking about this, right? And then there were 3 of us. There were 3 of them discussing. And then Master Weili was one of them. He said, well, hey, Lotus Sutra is important and Japan has a lot of studies on it. So why don't we go? I wanted to go. I wanted to go study abroad in Japan. And Master said, I also wanted to go. So there were 3 of them. And they made an agreement to go to Japan. And this is something that it's almost like, I think the best way to explain this, I think nowadays, there were a lot of movies, about time travel. That you are looking into the history and you're seeing your parents discussing that they may not want to get married. You know that feeling. It's really weird. If you watch too much TV, Brother Jiso talks about KTV, right? So for our generation, it's going to the movies, and obviously in the past few years, past 2 years, it's really difficult to go to the movies. But you see so many movies, and about these drama. You think about the time travel, and then if you were in the audience of your parents before they were married, And then they were like, I don't want to be married to you. Or they go like, well, I don't want to have kids. And then you go like, well, what are you talking about? We're here and we need you to do this. So this is it, right? So you said, you can envision 57 years ago, a very bright, a very young Master Cheng Yen, fully hope, I'm very, it's like a young person who is discussing her future. She had full grasp of what she wanted to do with her life, and she knew where to find that. She already planned it out, is to go abroad to study in Japan. She wanted to study the Lotus Sutra. That's what she wanted to do. That's why it got me emotional. If you were to think about that, if you think about how such hope that she had, the thing that she talked about, for 3 months in that vasa, it's powerful. It's right. So anyway, continue. So after finally, right, it was all about, very, very, it was all thinking, and then the reality hits, right? So after Master returned from the vasa, the Master In Sun, or Master's teacher, wanted me to return to Jiayi. Obviously, there was another, because Master In Sun told Master Cheng Yen that, well, it's not okay to keep on staying at Fuming Temple, and there was another temple in Jiayi that perhaps there was more opportunities there, right? So there was one path. So Master wanted to go to Japan, and Master In Sun wanted her to return to Jiayi. And then the local elders, the locals in Hualien wanted Master to stay in Hualien, right? So just in passing, Master said to them, if I were to stay in Hualien, you all need to help me fulfill my direction. And that's where it all began, right? Master said, what was that direction? I said to them, Buddhism is to help and save sentient beings. I want to put the teachings into action. And the only way for me to stay in Hualien is to start walking and moving in this direction. If you were to help me fulfill this direction, I will never leave Hualien. And imagine that. Master stated so easily. It's now only words. It became words. But you know that it took so much to be able to make that decision. And I could so understand when Brother Jisoo talked about his decision to move to Indonesia. I'm not saying that we're on the same par, we're on par with Master, but because you walk this, now it doesn't matter whether you walk a kilometer or 1 meter, but you know how it felt because you walked it. And so did I. All of us made some decisions that perhaps were like what Brother Jisoo said, changed our livelihood. That's what Master wanted us, or something that we believe Master wanted us to do. And I'm sure Master wanted Master to do this, right? Master Cheng Yen wanted Master Cheng Yen to do this. So that's what she did. She stayed, but she made a bargain, or not a bargain, but she made a step forward, okay? Not just to stay, but we have to do something, right? So then the local said, as long as Master Cheng Yen does not leave, we will fully support everything. And so just like that, the door of blessings was open, but the door of wisdom was closed. The affinity to study abroad in Japan began to loosen. And I began to tear up when I see this, because it was hurtful to a Master, but she made the decision. And why? That's why it's emotional. Even after 57 years, when she talked about this, you can feel that it was a very, very difficult decision. And so the rest was history. So in academia, we talked about opportunity cost. It is a cost that you inflict when you choose to do something else, right? So if you choose to go to school, so the cost is something else that you would do if you didn't go to school. So the opportunity cost of Master staying in Hualien is that she didn't get a chance to go to Japan. So what did we gain? What did we lose? The opportunity cost is actually two parts, right? You obviously gain something by taking this opportunity, but you also lose something because you didn't take that path. So you took something and you lose something. So what did you gain and what did you lose? So the rest is history, right? So from this point on, Master said, I always say that the true value of our lives, we must fully grasp and fully live every second of our lives. Every second will become the past, become our memory, as each step continues toward creating blessings in the world. So this is something that we are very familiar with, okay? We're very familiar with this part, you know, to fully live every second of our lives. And this is what Master wanted to show us, that from that point on, as she made that decision, every second that she took was to fulfill that path where the reason for Master to stay in Hualien, every second of it. Yes, she remembered. Master remembered the part about studying the Lotus Sutra or studying abroad. But you know, you can't catch up. What you want, you can't catch up. And so you chose that part, the path. And that was toward creating more blessings in the world. And as we continue forward on this path, we further pave the road and continue to gather more like-minded people and continue to expand the path. So it's not just for you. You continue to be on this path and you continue to make the road wider and wider, and then gather more like-minded people. You brought them together with you and you continue to expand this path. So without the tiny path at the beginning, we wouldn't have the grand roadway of today. So without the very initial decision, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have us here, right? So that's why I thought about, you know, if we were in a time machine and then we were watching this as a movie, and if we didn't know what happened, we would be like, no, don't. And you wouldn't know how the story was going to turn out. But we know, because we are the result. We are the guo. We are the result of that decision. And so we knew what happened already, but we didn't know why it happened. We didn't know how it happened. We thought it was so easy, right? Just like today, Brother Jisoo shared the story like it was so simple, like it was a simple decision. Yeah, you know, went to see Master, and Master wanted me to go there for longer, and I didn't understand why. So I asked Master why, and the Master said, I want you to move there. so Brother Jisoo, okay, let me go think about it. And a couple of months later, he said yes. Well, I'm sure it was not that easy. Same thing, right? We just took all the guo for what it was. Oh yeah, sure, it was that. But now seeing the past, right? We are now living in the past, and as every second passes by, okay. So Master said I couldn't go to Japan, so I began to pave the road in Taiwan. Each word in the Lotus Sutra became a step, and every step I took was Lotus Sutra. The teaching was living Bodhisattva in the world, and the grand reason for Buddha's coming, and I think that was the living soul of the entire teaching, right? That Master made a choice that I wasn't going to study the Lotus Sutra. I was going to walk it. And I wasn't going to become the teacher. I was going to become the mentor to everyone who was going to walk this path. And the problem wasn't just that, right? A teacher, you teach others. But Master opened the path. She made sure that not only that you know and you learn the Lotus Sutra, but you walk also. And that's the 体解, right? 信受体解 part. So Master at the end said, I want to use story. Obviously, not just this story, but there was a lot more in the Monday's talk, the morning assembly. I want to use this story to encourage everyone to seize every moment, to be diligent in every second, such that every passing moment and every passing second will be truly worthy of its values as it becomes a part of a very valuable history. So that's why Brother Jisoo had a very wonderful story to tell, because every passing moment in during those 2 years, during those 1 year, I think it was November to December of next year, in Indonesia, and all of part before and after that becomes a part of a very, very valuable history. So what did we lose and what did we gain? We lose time, but we make history. And that was it. So what are you going to do? I don't believe in opportunity cost, because I believe in that all the other cost that was associated, they were not really cost. So I'm sure Brother Jisoo would agree that we were not sacrificing, because we chose the one thing that we want. So how can I say that I'm sacrificing the things that I don't want? And that is what Brother Jisoo at first said, right? That it's, you tell me to do charity. Yeah, sure, I'll do it Saturday and Sundays. Yeah, you told me to donate. Yeah, I'll donate, whatever that I'm able to donate. But what if it asks you to change your livelihood? And the answer to that is we will, because that's our preference. We prefer and we want to do that. So that you're not sacrificing. There isn't something that's called opportunity cost. It will be like saying, oh, what is the opportunity cost of breathing? Well, you choose air because you need it. It's not like I sacrifice dying to live. We don't say that. So the same way, we chose this path. And Master, even though this story brought a lot of emotion to us, because that decision is so important to us right now, 55 years later, 57 years later. It is so important to us now that going back in time made us see that. But, but at the time, I'm sure in the minds of Master, there was no regret, because there was no cost. It was not like I sacrificed this, but rather I chose this. I didn't give up anything, because I gave all of my life to walk in this path. So a lot of us sometimes we would say, oh, I sacrificed my single life for a married life, or I sacrificed my simple life for a life with children. But you wouldn't have it any other way. You chose that. So once we choose this, the only thing we lose is time as it flies by. But now we're making history. And so 做就对了, huh? So I think that's my sharing for today. It's always so so emotional, to see someone making that decision. And when Master made the decision, even though it's only a few words, but it's so powerful, because it's so involved in us. We're so involved in this, right? So imagine if that didn't happen, what would happen? So even though Master said, oh, the doors of blessings were open, but the doors of wisdom was closed, I'm sure there were more doors and there were more paths open. So we had to make it worthwhile too. And how do we do that? We chose this path. So how can we also open the doors of blessing and not closing any of the doors? So that's my sharing for today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And following Brother Jisoo's sharing, is always very powerful to see these life stories, and we hear the stories from Jisoo, and then we see how Master explained that little part of her history, a little part of her memory, and gave us more 信受, gave us more faith and belief about why we're on this path. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Brother Joe, for your great comment and your sharing. Okay, I think next is cooking Dharma sharing.
Yeah, 感恩 or almost gratitude, Sister Riani and Brother Siso for the very powerful, heartfelt sharing, followed by Brother Joe on this sacrifice. But indeed, it is not really sacrifice by making history, and interconnected with our cooking Dharma, Sister Stephanie and the team. The history started since March 2019, and let's hear from this group that have initially started to share their cooking at Instagram as Dharma as Food. You can follow Dharma as Food Instagram, and today they are one of the very strong power in tasty veggie launched by Tzu Chi's Chaos Lano. Okay, over to you, Sister Stephanie and the team.
感恩 Sister Tzu Chi, 感恩 Brother Jisoo for that awesome sharing just now. It's really very touching and inspiring. So very good morning and Amitofo to Brother Joe, about Sifu and all brothers and sisters. Again, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share again on this platform. Just now, as I was test running, I know it was a bit early for everyone to look at all the beautiful and gorgeous looking food, yeah. But okay, please bear with me, because after this, hopefully, you will be inspired to try some of the awesome recipes which we will be sharing in a bit. But so today, our sharing is called Cooking Dharma. All right, there will be 3 of us who's doing the sharing, and this name incidentally actually was given by Sister Irene for our group chat, which Sister Xiao Jing said started in 2019, about April actually. Then our objective was basically to cook a better variety of vegetarian meals for our family members who were not vegetarians yet. So it was basically a platform for all of us sisters on this Xing Fa Xiang platform to share our daily recipes, cooking tips, and to encourage each other on the path of vegetarianism. I want to show you, this is one of our very first posts by Sister Xiao Jing, Nam Yu monkey head mushroom. And it was really a hit, and many of the sisters, including myself, we try it, yeah. And of course, here are some of the other favorites, yeah. Like you can see vegetarian fritters, you can see a lot of curries, sweet desserts and cakes, noodles. So our group is actually very dynamic. It's a daily thing. It's always filled with lots of sharing on yummy, delicious vegetarian dishes. So looking back, perhaps for most of us, in fact, the concept in our mind was just this: so long it's vegetarian, so long there's no meat, and it's healthier for us and our planet. But is it really so? Have we been doing it right? Now, I am reminded of a recent sharing by Brother Isaac Chiu, and it had a very compelling title. It says, 没错不一定对. Or if I literally translate it in English, not wrong is not necessarily right. Or like what Master says, not doing bad things is not necessarily doing good. So we may not be eating meat, but are we doing it right? Are we really getting healthier? Recently, in one of his talks, Dr. Eddie showed us these statistics on the health status of adult Malaysians from 2019. Now, why am I showing you this? This is because, interestingly, because of the 21-day challenge, he found that these statistics apply also to Tzu Chi volunteers who have been vegetarians for some time, some even up to 10 years. So these were their test results that came up before the 21-day challenge. 50% were overweight, 40% had high cholesterol, 30% had hypertension, and 20% had diabetes or the onset of diabetes. So brothers and sisters, if that is the case, then something must not be quite right with our lifestyle, which includes the way we eat. So in November 2020, Cooking Dharma had the affinity to collaborate with Dr. Eddie Chan for this talk for our members and also for the public. And it was here that it was the first time we received a grand teaching, We were exposed to a way of cooking that uses less or no oil, salt, and sugar. And the focus was on whole plant-based and minimally processed ingredients. What is this called? It's called WFPB. What does this acronym stand for? We will find out later from our two sisters who will be sharing next. Our first sharer is Sister Fujinyan. Last year during the pandemic, we saw a video called From Farm to Fridge, which highlighted the unbearable suffering of farm animals. Touched by compassion, Sister aspired towards a meat-free diet. And later, in August, she was introduced to Cooking Dharma by our sister Tzu Chi. And very soon she started to post her little, her little sharing. And I noticed that her style of cooking is very unconventional. Sister Cheng Yen has an experimental style which fuses many natural ingredients in a way that conserves the natural flavors. So you will see later, her creations are not just a joyful sight, but it truly opened our minds to the possibilities of plant-based food. So I shall not delay you further. Let us now welcome Sister Cheng Yen to share her insights from her journey into WFPB. Sister Cheng Yen.
All right. Good morning, Dharma Masters of the Abbot, BroJoe, and brothers and sisters of the Tzu Chi family. During the onset of the pandemic last year, I was in a way forced to consider certain things in my everyday life that I had taken for granted. The convenience of movement, the ability to make decisions freely, and the value of physical face-to-face interactions, especially with family members. For me, it was circumstantial realization. Why was the world in this predicament, knowing that I was not alone in this situation of lockdown with fear of a virus robbing the lives of many? It showed that regardless of size, akin the COVID-19 virus, a minute cellular microorganism, one could have immeasurable potential in making a difference, good or bad. So when I was invited to take part of a task force to encourage a whole food, plant-based gourmet lifestyle, spearheaded by Dr. Eddie Chan and a very capable team of various members with complementary skills, I gladly accepted. After all, a missed opportunity is a lost chance in improving oneself. This slide provides a concise explanation as to what whole food plant-based diet is, its acronym being WFPB. I must admit, I had no idea what WFPB was. And to be honest, I was initially dumbfounded as to how one could cook without oil. With nearly 5 months past, this initiative has released the capabilities of my senses. I had in the past been freely equipped with a limitless range of readily prepared sauces and flavorings, which could be conveniently added to enhance a dish for all to enjoy. Like so much of our lives, that we never really take the opportunity and time to appreciate what nature and life has to offer, nearly somewhat returning to life's basics. Senses clouded as how the analogy of a mirror finally wiped of dust that had been settled upon for countless aeons, the sweetness of a fresh cabbage leaf, and the beautiful intensity of a red tomato, and the crunch of an almond, I have missed out. Nevertheless, realization of past opportunities is a chance to reset one's approach, not just towards embracing and enjoying nature's wondrous offers, but also the opportunity of a new microfiber cloth to ensure the mirror surface is free of any speck of dust. Life is simple, yet so profound as how the Dharma is. I am not sure, I'm not one who has the natural ability to quote sections of any sutra, but I'm comforted with Master Cheng Yen's reminder that it only takes one, and one word only, to make a difference when one chooses to be mindful. Mindfulness in everything that one does, the awakening of the mind in even simple chores like closing a door gently, taking a split second to consider choices, be it speech or actions, and in this case, food preparation. There's a collection of dishes that is available for sharing through the WFPB initiative on the Tasty Veggie and Dharma as Food Instagram page. These are the links. With Master's advice on waking meditation in everyday life, with mindfulness and clarity in consciousness, the end result of a meal presented can speak calmness and serenity, somewhat Zen. A small collage of some of the dishes that I had prepared to support the WFPB initiative. Whole plant-based, natural source ingredients, and no processed oil. Southeast Asians would recognize the dish at the bottom right as the deconstructed nasi lemak, which is coconut-infused rice dish. The top right, sang choy pao, or an open-faced lettuce wrap. And the crescent, tempeh tofu and potato leek stir fry. Treating the plate as an art canvas and embracing nature's produce as opportune colors and textures, the possibilities are actually endless. Who said we can't play with food? I mentioned once. I let you be the judge. So this was actually coined, phrased, and named by Brother Jeff. He called it the Pisang Cupcake. And this was requested by SisStephanie, Fly Me to the Moon. It is basically a curry cucumber filled with sweet potato and a mixture of quinoa and somewhat salsa. All natural colors, yeah, no added additives. And this is the collie boatman bringing us to shore. Yeah, so you can see how the different myriad of colors can come together, making it look like an art piece. So armed with one of my favorite Jing aphorisms, with courage and perseverance, nothing is impossible. I challenge myself to incorporate dessert into a range of different WFPB recipes. For a diet to stick, it has to be practical and embraceable. So incorporating treats, healthy treats are essential. Now, Brother Joe, for the benefit of you, whom I believe has mentioned in the past that you have a sweet tooth and loves ice cream, I'm sharing a collage of desserts which can be prepared using whole food plant-based ingredients. Apologies, I have yet to try my hand in creating ice cream. So from right to left, sago gula melaka, which is blue pea flour infused sago drizzled with natural palm sugar in coconut milk, banana muffins with jingse red filling, and chickpea flour banana pancake rolls with fresh fruit, crushed nuts, and dehydrated mandarin peel. Affinity with many benefactors emerging from everywhere, and the onset of the pandemic, which is deemed positive in this respect, this has allowed me this valuable revelation. Everything that I need as life lessons are in front of me, never needing to look far. Blessed with a healthy vessel in the form of this human body, one takes for granted the absence of pain and suffering that so many have to endure. And with the mind nourishment likened to a young shoot, growing with each drop of morning dew, one also needs to nourish the body to play a part in this lifetime. So go natural, go whole food plant-based. I realize that I do not need to be all to everyone, but I need to be that piece of jigsaw that I'm meant to be to fulfill my role in this lifetime's gigantic jigsaw puzzle. And that brings me to the end of my sharing with sincere gratitude. And
Sister Cheng Yen, for such a wonderful sharing. I'm sure all the brothers and sisters can see now that whole food, plant-based, can be very simple, yet very tantalizing. Yeah, Sister Chinyen has fuses much Dharma realizations into her food preparation. And indeed, Master says Dharma is omniscient. It is found everywhere in every facet of our life, so long we are mindful and can apply the teachings. Kan'en once again, Sister Chinyen. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to our second sharer. Our second sharer is Sister Dana from Singapore. Okay, now last May during the pandemic, last May during the pandemic, through a Tzu Chi activity with her daughter, made a pledge to take 30 vegetarian meals. Now, it became very easy for them, so they decided to extend their pledge. And soon, without knowing, it became 3 full meals daily, as she also had noticed very good health improvements in herself. Now, Sis Dana was already an accomplished cook, but when she joined Cooking Dharma last May to learn more about vegetarian cooking, she had some reservations about the healthiness of our recipes. Frankly, she was quite lost, but thankfully, due to Dr. Eddie's talk, it gave her timely answers, and then there was no looking back. So now let us welcome Sister Dana, our new kid sister on the block, who is making waves in Malaysia and Singapore with her fast to cook and good to eat style of wholesome vegan cooking. Sister Dana, the platform is yours. Hey.
Good morning, Masters at the board, BroJoe, Dharma brothers and sisters. Kan'en for giving me this opportunity to share one of my learning journeys with you, which is my vegetarian cooking. Here is one of my first few vegetarian dish. It's a one-pot meal. Basically, it's a noodle in a thick soup. And as you can see, they are very simple ingredients. And this soup stock is actually made by vegetable scraps. And next here is one of my favorite dish is Basil Brinjal Tempeh, but it's not so wholesome. As you can see, it's pretty oily. But with a slight twist, you can actually transform it into whole food plant-based just by steaming and a drizzle of with some tangy, spicy sauce. It's just as good. And also, you see, festive food can also be made easily with just simple ingredient. As you can see, who can guess that this is actually a Kung Pao tofu in Western plating? Made that in one of my Christmas dish in 2020. And this is also another Christmas dish, which is layers of soy skin, vegetables, roots, and nuts. And the sauce is actually made from persimmon. It's simply, I would say, it's quite tasty. And here is a dish, a mustard green rice that I cook during the Chinese New Year. As you can see, it's also very simple, the ingredients. Next here is this prosperity toss was a very last minute preparation with few simple ingredients, yet it turned out to be the best toss ever. Now WFBB, no sugar, no oil. Guidelines strictly set up by Dr. Eddie, but no problem. Sugar can be substituted with overripe fruit. Even without oil, water can do the job. Okay, next I will share 2 vegan cooking videos. Let's see how they are being prepared. Well, simple, right? Okay, here is tempeh. Okay, I've been actually actively sharing vegetarian recipes, actually hoping to spread awareness of making and consuming healthy vegetarian meals. Tempeh is a plant-based protein source, which is key to providing sufficient nutrients for vegetarians. Therefore, I hosted a DIY tempeh sharing with some of our Tata and Tzu Chi members from different CLE. Through these, I hope they will too be able to teach others how to make this nutritious food. And lastly, I would like to present our master's favorite soup, SisStephanie. Okay, Kan'en, that's all my sharing today.
Kan'en Sister Dana for the wonderful sharing. So we Kan'en both sisters, in fact, yeah. Even though both sisters are actually very new, in fact, taking on vegetarianism only last year during the pandemic, we can truly learn so much from them. So Cooking Dharma is actually now available on Facebook. If you can see the link here. Hold on a minute. Can you see my slide? Okay. All right. Cooking Dharma is actually now available on Facebook, right? So if you are keen to learn all these recipes, right, you can actually scan this and it will bring you straight to the link will bring you straight into the site. So as you can see now, Cooking Dharma is slowly moving towards wholesome vegan kitchen. And in one of our folders, you can see all the recipes here that has this watermark, right? This means that these are recipes that has been certified whole food plant-based by Dr. Eddie's team of nutritionists. This logo is means that these recipes has been vetted through and approved by them. So at this juncture, I would really like to say our utmost kan'en to Dr. Eddie for his great compassion and wisdom in teaching and guiding all of us to the right way of eating that will purify not just our bodies and also our mind. I have a case in point that I want to show. One of our brothers is our He Chi Zuzang, Brother Sun. He had been vegetarian for the past 10 years. And this is his vegetarian, his cholesterol levels for his annual checkup. As you can see, even until early this year, before the WFPB, this was his reading. It's always about 3 or above 3. And after the WFPB 21-day challenge, it dipped to below 2. In fact, it dropped by about 50%. And his total cholesterol as well. So this, for me, for myself also, actually mine also has dipped below 5. So in my limited insights, WFPB for me is like the true Dharma of eating. It is pure, undefiled, simple, and yet very nourishing, just like true Dharma. And practitioners will gain the right understanding and insights into the relationship between nature and nurture. This diet subdues our desire and attachment to the taste sense that had been habitually formed over generations or maybe even lifetimes. It is, I believe, a way to end our suffering and affliction caused by our ignorance about food. After all, the famous saying goes, we are what we eat, and we are what we practice. Lastly, I would like to end our sharing by this quote by our dear master in one of the Zigong Zhao Hui. The land provides sufficient grains and nutrients for all mankind to eat happily, healthily, and happily. So it is our hope that through this new learning, we hope that we can transform our health and also others' health. And we hope that with better health, all of us, brothers and sisters, can walk on the Bodhisattva stronger and happier. With that, we'd like to, on behalf of Cooking Dharma and all the brothers and sisters, Kan'en Dr. Eddie and Kan'en Abode Masters and Brother Joe. Kan'en. Over to you, Sister Xiaoqing. Brother Joe, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I know that Dharma Master De Huang is also online. is Master okay to share?
Okay. All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's very touching, and you know, I think that for just now the sister Cheng Yen and Sister Dana sharing regarding the cooking Dharma. I think while listening to the sharing and watching the cooking video clip, I think that it's like stimulate my appetite. You know, like feel like, oh, going for a vegan is very yummy, is a very good meal, and it's good for healthy. To be honest, I think it's not easy. Although we know that you know, we want to become healthier, to get more less oil or less sugar or less salty, and you know, we try to back to the nature, the plant-based diet in our daily life for each meal that we eating. It's not that easy because you know, as when our six organs, you know, watching the what we so called the very entice you, you know, to crave for something which is like, you know, it's very just like you know, you like to get the aroma or the flavor which is like you used to eat before, just like ice cream or cake or, you know, some sort of sweet desserts. So if in front of you is like, you know, you can't hold your desire and not and stop not to eat that. It's very hard, even though we become a plant-based you know meal. In, you know, you have make a decision, but it's very hard for us to control not to eat those desserts that you used to like to eat. So, but now I think this is the time for us when we, you know, after listening to Dr. Eddie, I have been listened a couple of times regarding his on the online sharing regarding how we maintain our healthier and to yet we can still maintain a good nutrition and the good report regarding our blood tests. I think is the best way is, you know, we cut the eating of sugar or salty taste and so on. I think very good that very appreciate that our Dr. Eddie will keep promoting this campaign and to share to everyone. But actually, for the next Wednesday, for the morning assembly sharing, I'm going to share a little bit, a small part regarding what we have our Malaysian team for this Dharma cooking team sharing regard the blood test before they go for the 21 days for the last, you know, this program. I'm going to share this to the public, so that I hope that maybe in the future you guys will, you know, can keep share more about this in you know, to everyone. So this is a very wonderful thing that yeah, we must, you know, keep going and move on forward, and to look forward more people will accept this WFP whole plant-based program, right? Okay, I think this is my feedback regarding our two sisters sharing. Thank you.
感恩师父 for your encouragement. 感恩 Sister Cheng Yen 感恩 Sister Dana. 感恩 over to you, Sister Xiao Ji.
Wow, 感恩 Master De Huang for the really great guidance. Yeah, we look forward to Master's sharing. Next Wednesday, right? 7点的志工早会 we can log into the normal 熏法香. I think from Hualien it's the same link. Let's hope by next Wednesday it will be okay. 好感恩 also to, of course, Brother Joe Huang for all the great guidance always, and to today's great mixed team of sharers from Sister Riani, Brothers Tzu, Sister Stephanie, Sister Chinyen, and Sister Dana, the great cooking Dharma team. Of course, we know behind the scenes there are many, including Dr. Eddie, who are promoting this very hard. For those who are in, I think some of the cooking Czech group, we are very blessed because each morning waking up to be greeted by all these wonderful cookings, it will spur us to eat healthily. Indeed, these great journeys of cultivation, not really sacrifices, but it's of great choices, have benefited many of us. Most感恩 to all of you. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your presence and your great support. Hope that each of us could sustain the Dharma joy and another piece of and Hualien of our life.